Hi, everybody. Dan Illman here, taking a look at the feature race at Woodbine on Saturday. Let's throw up the field for race number 7, kicking off the 20-cent pick 4. It is the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen. We're going a one-turn mile on the E.P. Taylor turf course for 3-year-old fillies. Walk in Marrakesh, the number 2, is your 6-5 morning line favorite, coming off of a Grade 2 placing at Keeneland in the Appalachian Stakes, and she's already Grade 1 placed at Woodbine in last year's prestigious Talma. And as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, one of her greatest assets is her tactical speed. We see that Timeform US has Walk in Marrakesh snugly tucked in third. If the pace is faster, she can come from out of it. If the pace is slower, she can actually make the lead, as we saw in the Natalma. She's the one to beat. We'll get deeper into her analysis in a bit, but let's start things off with the horse down to her inside, the number 1 AV Samurai. Let's watch AV Samurai's most recent victory sprinting on synthetic. She took advantage of a hot pace in this optional claiming race. She's on the outside, and it seemingly takes forever for her to get by the 2 horses on the lead. But she does do so, and was flattered when both of those horses returned to win, especially the runner-up, who came back in an optional claimer and scored with an 86 Beyer speed figure. That filly has now won 3 out of her last 5 races. AV Samurai has some questions to answer. She's going to have to successfully transfer that synthetic form to turf, and she is going to have to stretch out to a route. Thus far, she's been best sprinting. Her sire, First Samurai, does very well on synthetic tracks, and his progeny are not as great on turf. That worries me a bit, but AV Samurai is sharp right now. She brings competitive figures to the fray, and she's trained by a very good horsewoman in Josie Carroll. The number 2 is Walk in Marrakesh, 6-5 on the morning line, deservedly so. Let's watch her last race, the Appalachian, a Grade 2. This race, the pace heated up in the middle portion, and maybe, just maybe, that sapped Walk in Marrakesh's stretch kick just enough for her to be run down in the shadow of the wire by the Shug McGahey-trained Enola Gay. It was another good, solid effort for Walk in Marrakesh, who has beaten a nose in this race, beaten a nose in the Natalma. She hasn't won since shipping to North America, but she's certainly knocking on the door. That last 88 Beyer speed figure puts her in very good stead. I'm just not sure she has such an edge over this field that I want to go as low as 6-5 at post time. The number 3 is Fly So Pretty, one of several in here trained by Mark Casse, and Fly So Pretty might have excuses for her last 2 races. Most recently going 5.5 furlongs at Saratoga, she was held up behind a slow pace and didn't seem to like that at all. I'm willing to take that race with several grains of salt. 2 starts back, she was washed off the turf and forced to run on the dirt off of a long layoff, so she had to deal with the layoff as well as dirt, and I don't think that's her surface. She's going to get a chance to stretch out to a mile, and that's kind of one of the big question marks for her in this race. She was a stakes-winning turf sprinter last year, but she'll be a price, and she'll probably come running late. The number 4 is 260, probably the preferred of the 3 Casse-trained runners. Let's watch 260's last race, the Grade 3 Celine on the Tapeta surface. They stretched her back out, and she utilized her good speed from the start, and I like this race from her. I'm not going to mind the diminishing margin of victory at the wire. She went very fast early to procure the lead. She was able to control the pace throughout, and she held game. The 4th-place finisher came back to run a very good third in the Woodbine Oaks with an 89 Beyer speed figure. 260 is going to try turf for the first time. Her sire only wins 6% with first turf runners. The dam, however, is a half to a stakes-winning turf sprinter. 260 is the projected leader on the Timeform US pace projector, and she should be able to get the lead in here. We'll see if she handles turf. The 5 is Diamond Sparkles, another one going out for Mark Casse. Casse has 4 actually in this race. Diamond Sparkles might be the best closer of the bunch, and I think she's slowly racing herself back into shape, as this will be her 3rd start since returning from a winter vacation at Tampa Bay Downs. She has not won in North America, but her Beyer speed figures are slowly creeping forward. I was a bit disappointed that she didn't make more of a late dent last time out, considering the pace situation in the Celine, but she is getting back to turf, and she did win on turf overseas. She'll be kicking late at a price. She just needs to improve a little bit. Let's watch the number 6 Chart's most recent race, an allowance victory in her first start at Woodbine and first start over a synthetic surface. Conversely to 260, who went fast early in her gate-to-wire win around 2 turns, Chart had everything her own way. She was brilliantly ridden this day by Emma Jane Wilson. There wasn't a lot of pace on, and Chart was able to sprint on home and just last by a head. She is by Lee, who gets 10% winners with first-time turf runners, and she's a half to a turf winner. So there just seemed to be enough turf pedigree, especially considering the dam's a half-sister to Brilliant, who was a Grade 2 stakes winner going long on the turf. Chart's probably not going to make the lead in here. Her stablemate 260's going to the front, but she should be sitting in a good spot in second and figures prominently when the field turns for home. We'll find out if she's good enough. She picks up Justin Stein, who's really riding great right now. The 7 is Saratoga Vision, and we saw Saratoga Vision cutting into 260's gap in the Grade 3 Celine last time out at a humongous price, and she was a deserving humongous price. She was a maiden coming in, she's a maiden going out. I still need her to prove that that race wasn't a bit of a one-off fluke, and I wonder if there's much upside left in the tank after 12 lifetime starts, but she's in good form, and she would really benefit if this pace heats up. As we take a look at our top picks in here, I respect Walk to Marrakesh. I just don't want to play her at a depressed price. I think AV Samurai is worth a gamble if she's the second or third choice in this race, even with the questions regarding surface and distance. And that's where I'll go in race number 7, the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen, with the number 1, AV Samurai. Best of luck.